Do you need light?
Wait, I told
You can be in it too. Hey, what's up, everybody? So this is an after court update. So what my hearing today was arraignment, I think. Yeah, I think that's what it's called, where you enter a plea of guilty or not guilty, and where the presiding judge determines whether or not there's enough evidence to continue further with the case. And so the officer who wrote the report on me, he was there. He testified. He had some interesting things to say. Man, I wish I could tell you guys all the details. I really wish I could, because there's some really important things for you guys to know. But I guess I'll be quiet until I speak to my lawyer and know for sure. But what I can tell you guys is that the case didn't go my way. Today in court didn't go my way. The judge didn't dismiss any of my charges. And kind of my whole case is hinging on this officer's testimony. And I guess that was enough for them to move forward with my case. And one of the details of my case is they said I demonstrated an extreme indifference to the value of human lives with my action with the drone. And that's not true at all. You know, anybody that knows me, I'm not here to endanger anybody. I'm here because I love people, right? You know, not because I want to hurt people. I'm here because I want to protect the water. I'm here because I'm a father and I have children and I want to make sure that they have a good world to grow up in. And that's why I'm here, not to hurt people, not to harm people, not any of that stuff that they're accusing me of. But one of the things that I noticed is in the courtroom, right? That's supposed to be the place where justice comes out and where truth comes out. But instead, I feel like it was so limited, the scope, like they have very narrow boundaries of what you can and can't talk about. And because of that, it becomes kind of like a battle of words, more so than about obtaining the truth. So anytime my lawyer would ask certain questions that are really important to the overall theme of justice with water protectors, the prosecutor would object and say it's outside of the scope of this case. So I don't really know what to say about the judicial system. It seems like it's lost its focus on justice, and it's become more about setting up boundaries and parameters with words and having a word game, and whoever has the money to pay for the best attorney usually wins. I will say, though, that not all police officers are bad, and we all need to understand that. It doesn't do us any good when we just start hating police. It's just like people in Bismarck hating water protectors. It doesn't make sense. You know, we need to separate the good ones from the bad ones. And don't post any hatred towards officers on my page, please. Also, I think it's important to note that not all the judges are bad. Some of them are. Some of them aren't, you know. But anyways, so I'm facing a total of 7 years still. I'm going to be going back into trial in March, at the end of March. And, you know, it didn't go my way today, but hopefully, you know, I still keep relying on prayer. So hopefully in the future it does go my way. Other than that, man, I hope you guys are all doing good. We got Candy Mossett and Tina in the building.
Hi. Hey, everybody. Send the prayers. We appreciate it.
Yeah. We were having some interesting conversations. I wish I could do that, but then it's just going to go sideways.
It's going to mess up.
Yeah.
Well, here, let me read my fortune.
Okay, what does your fortune say?
After readying the every emotion, there is understanding entering the realm.
Ooh. Yeah. So we were having some pretty really interesting conversations earlier. I wasn't going live because we were eating. We gotta eat. But one of the things I learned that these guys taught me was about fluoride and how it kind of inhibits your thinking. And also for those of you who believe that we have spiritual aspects to us, that we're not just only flesh, but we have spiritual points, your chakras, it inhibits your chakras, which inhibits your spiritual component and your thinking component. So that's a little just random note that I didn't know that these guys taught me.
Clear that third eye.
Yeah. What were we talking about earlier, though? Is there anything we want to say, or should we just...
A lot?
Yeah, there's a lot.
There's a lot. I think the one thing that I talked about was in the movement, we talk a lot here about the environmental devastation and destruction, but we don't talk that much about the social devastation and destruction. Especially, I come from a community in Newtown, North Dakota here, where the Bakken shale oil formation is, where this oil is coming from, and there's the whole component of the violence against our women, with the violence increased by 168% in my community, especially against women where they were getting raped. Not just women, babies as young as 4.
After the oil came into
After the oil came and the man camps came. And so we had murders and deaths and just really bad stuff happened in my community. That's all the social devastation that is also a result of the oil boom. And so we just talked about how that, yes, the environmental destruction is so horrific, and equally is the social destruction and damage as well. So it would be good for people to really talk about that too, and the reality that we face when it comes to the actual extraction, and how the violence and rape against the earth increases in any community where that kind of happens. So
yeah. And kind of, I'm not from a community, but I worked in the oil fields, and I know how they sell these things. Is they say, you know, basically the money's going to better your economy. You're going to have jobs for your people. You're going to have this and that. But Candy was explaining how it actually didn't pan out to be that way. It actually panned out to be not helpful for her community. And I think she was saying like a small percentage of the community got rich off the oil money, but most actually didn't.
Yeah, 90%, she said.
Yeah, I was explaining to them how kind of the oil industry comes in and they promise you an economy boost, they promise you jobs, and say it'll be so great for your community, and then in your community it turned out actually not helping you guys.
well, it's a lie. They literally flat out lie. And the way they do it, and the way they did it in my community anyways, was they hired our own people, you know, my cousins. They hired our own people to go to
Should we wait for her to come
people's
back?
communities. Ooh.
With her car?
Oh, yeah, sorry.
Sorry guys, I interrupted her
Side note.
because we started driving off.
Anyway, they hired our own people in our own communities to then go to each household, and tell them how great it was going to be and how much money people were going to get. You know, you're going to get $60,000. And so, of course, people thought that it was awesome that they were going to get money. And that's a lot of money for people that have been impoverished for so long. So, but it just turned out to be a lie, and it just turned out to be a divide and conquer. So the people that could afford to leave, a lot of them did. And then there are people that aren't even getting any money, and they're just there, and they don't, you know, living paycheck to paycheck, trying to survive, but dealing with all the toxic after effects and impacts.
So can you tell people who don't know what community you're referring to? They might not know the backstory of how the oil came in.
So my name is Candy. I'm born and raised in Newtown, North Dakota, which is in which is called Fort Berthold by the government. So it's the Mandan, Hidatsa, Rickraw Nations, and it's just northwest of Standing Rock. It's probably about a 3-hour drive, and so the Bakken shale oil formation is being extracted out of the communities where I grew up, and has been since about 2008, and it's fracking, and that's how they're getting out the oil for the proposed Dakota Access Pipeline. So that's when I say the communities I'm talking about is at Fort Berthold. So from one reservation to another reservation, you know, death and destruction follows along the pipeline, and that's what we're fighting to stop from happening, especially in a state where we have enough wind potential to power through wind alone 1/3 of this country's energy needs through wind.
Wow. It's interesting that you say that, because I used to work up there where she's talking about, and I actually would still be working up there because it was the most money I ever made in my life. I had an ugly beat up car then, and I didn't have nothing nice. I mean, a couple of things, but not too much. And when I worked up there, it was like first time I was making close to $100,000 a year. And I would have stayed if it would have been solar. Like, I'm not anti-job. I'm not anti-people making a living for their families. It's just when I see the destruction that's happening on the rig, like for instance, we clean the rigs and they have us use diesel all the time. They hush about it. Don't tell no one because you're supposed to be using the citrusol. But they keep us so busy when we're working there that we're like, fuck, the diesel's just going to make the scrubbing of the rig easier, so we're using buckets of 5-gallon buckets of diesel. And where does that all get washed onto? It gets washed on the ground. And there's a surface level tarp that gets torn all the time, and under it there's another layer tarp. But there's no way you're going to tell me all this diesel is not going to have any effect that's been spilled on rig after rig after rig just to clean it. It's not anything to benefit anything. The rig doesn't need to be clean. It's just to impress someone's boss when they come to the drill rig that, oh, these guys are cleaning it. And it's just busy work. It's unnecessary pollution. And another thing is when they're drilling the holes, because I worked on a drilling rig, they rush it. And a lot of time the casing, the cement that goes around the casing that's supposed to keep the contaminants, the oil from reaching the surface water, a lot of times that stuff doesn't set right. And we're rushing it. It's like a gold rush. So I knew in my mind, you don't know at first, but the longer you stay in it, you start to see, like, if you're a critical thinker, you start to think, man, there's no way their water's going to be okay in 15 or 20 years. These cracks are going to eventually surface and there's going to be cancer in their water. So if it had been solar, like you said, the country could, well, you have enough wind, you have enough of these non-renewables.
I was just really, it's crazy that you just said that about diesel, because through the college, the local community college, they did studies, and there was 12 wells where there was diesel contamination found in family wells. And then the EPA was trying to say that the studies weren't done correctly. There's all these, you have to account for wind, and you have to account for this, that, and the other thing. But there's a graph, a chart that the community college, used to be Fort Berthold Community College, the Mandan Nuit Sanish Community College now. But yeah, 12 wells were found with diesel contamination. And they were like, well, you can't prove that happened because of this or because of the oil boom in the 80s. And we're like, why should it matter? The wells are contaminated. So that was just, I'm still stuck on, like, dang, here you are. You're telling me, as an inside person, that's exactly how that happened.
Right. And to give a little clarity to the people that work in the oil fields, they're not all evil people. Some of them are assholes, just like in any other workforce. But there are a lot of good people. They just keep us so busy that we don't have time to think about it. Like, I truly didn't know that using the diesel was somehow gonna affect the environment. I just thought it was normal shit. And they keep you so busy on the job that you don't have time to stop and think critically. You're just like exhausted, 12.5-hour work days plus time to get up and get ready and decompress afterwards. And you're working for 2 weeks straight. You don't have time to think about any of this. Not to mention you're trying to get higher up on the position, so you're focused only on your job. So it's kind of how, like, I didn't know until I took time to really think about it. You got to really push yourself outside the box. But yeah, they use diesel to clean rigs. Sometimes whenever there's spills and stuff, they just hurry up and clean it up. And I know what happens when they have a spill, right? Something that's not supposed to have happened. The choice is always for the company man and the rig manager is, do we stop? Do we have to report this? Can we just vacuum it up real quick and throw dirt on it? But not only that, but like the water that they use for some of the drilling processes, they call it surface water, and they say it's salt water, so it's not harmful. Well, actually it is harmful, because as the system that it goes through, it picks up invert, right? They take the invert out, put the salt water in, but the tubes are all lined with invert still. And invert's just a mix of chemicals, like a diesel-based mix of chemicals. And, so that stuff that's supposed to be clean salt water, they're taking it, and I didn't know where they were doing with it. Again, you don't think about it. You're just doing your job. But they're taking it somewhere and dumping it. And I heard later, word of mouth, that they were injecting it back into the ground without cleaning it. So you're taking all this cancer stuff and you're putting it back into the ground. And that's another thing. So, I mean, really, I would still be in that job if it wasn't destructive. Because, again, we're not against jobs. We're not against oil field workers. We're against a destructive resource. I would still be there if it wasn't destructive. And people try to call us lazy because we're water protectors. It's the opposite, right? I'm a hard worker, and we've all been here working for free, And if I hadn't gotten donations for my court case, I would really be screwed, even worse than I'm going through it now. And so there's a lot to learn from this. The media companies and their connection with all the local media, who owns them. That's important.
Yeah.
So check this out, you guys.
So North Dakota is all run by Informed Communications. So we do have Williston, Minot, Grand Forks, Bismarck, Dickinson. They all have different names for their newspapers, but it's all underneath Informed Communications. And Informed Communications was bought out in the past couple of years, I don't remember exactly when, by a Texas-based company. And that company has shares and stocks and ownership in oil companies in both North Dakota and Texas. So that company owns Informed Communications, and that's why you're seeing the skewed media coming out of here, and that's why North Dakotans believe what they read when they open their newspaper or listen to the radio, because they were trained to believe that they wouldn't be lied to. And here it's all rigged and biased and one-sided and basically set up. And I also just wanted to say, when you were talking about jobs, that I really love what the union workers did. Not all of the union workers, because some of them are mad, but some of them came forward and stood with us, and they actually said, yeah, jobs are really important, but the reality is there are no jobs on a dead planet. And I just really want to send a shout out to the union workers for saying that and upholding it, because it's the truth.
Woo-hoo. Shout out union workers. Shout out Tina editing videos in the back.
This is so intense.
Yeah, it is, but it's all
so
true.
Intense. Yeah.
Now I'm gonna blast
So
you.
yeah, no, I'm shiny.
I know.
So not everyone, like the first time you told me that about the Inforum, what is it?
Communications.
I didn't quite catch all of it, so I want to kind of break that down a little bit more, because I remember I said, what? Tell me that again. That's important.
Yeah.
So Informed Communications owns all of the local...
like Bismarck Tribune, Grand Forks Herald, Dickinson Press, like the major...
KFYR, Fox News.
Well, yeah, like the print media and those. I'm not
Oh,
sure
the print
about,
ones.
Yeah, the
Okay.
print media. I'm not sure about the news, the TV stations. So, but Informed Communications, and then they were bought out by a Texas-based company with oil interests. So of course they're going to be biased and
A
one-sided.
Texas-based oil company.
I
with
had to
oil
find all of
interests.
the
the
names
details.
and the details.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but there's ties there. And what's interesting is that's where Energy Transfer Partners is from. They're an oil company from Texas. Kelsey Warren, CEO of this company. So the North Dakota and Texas are kind of like hotbeds for oil. And then you got oil corporations who have interests and are buying up media companies. So they're controlling the information that's being put out. And the reason why that's important is because we were talking about how you used to live here in Bismarck, and it wasn't like, there's good people here. And I was just talking about how we know not all officers are bad. We know not all the people here are bad. It's just that they've been brainwashed by the media. And then we come to find out the media is owned by companies who have interest in oil. So they're protecting their interests or their buddies' interests.
and it's like
With their media
light
companies.
bulb.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's wild. The last thing I kind of want to reiterate, I talked about it a little before, but water protectors, we all think of the judicial system as being the place where justice is proven, finally. And then the media companies go and quote the court proceedings, and they say, look, all these people on social media, they don't have the facts. You got to go to the court cases and get the facts. Well, in the case of water protectors, their right to a due process is being violated. And what that means is their right to be able to defend themselves, to put it simply, is being violated. So the prosecutor, instead of the prosecution, state's prosecutor, instead of giving over the evidence that they have, and I think it's called the Brady Bill or something, Brady Law, something like that. But instead of giving it over to the defense lawyers, they're just saying, yeah, our records are open to you. Yeah, you can come get it. And it makes it way harder for the lawyers. Not only that, but to get a good lawyer around here is hard because the good ones are already being maxed out with cases. So you're taking maxed out attorneys or public defenders and you're making their job even harder to get the records that they need to get. And then when they do make when they do make their records open, they'll say something like, okay, from Wednesday from noon to 3, you can come look, or Wednesday from 3 to 5, our records will be open for you. So you got to the lawyers got to deal with, they're already scheduled up, and then they got to go and try to go through the records real quick. And it's a direct violation. It's a manipulation of the judicial system. So we're not seeing fair proceedings for water protectors yet. But again, I don't want to down all of them because there are some good judges in there. There's some bad ones too. There's some good lawyers in there. There's some bad ones.
What were you saying about trying to get more lawyers from out of state?
Yeah. Go ahead. Who wants to say
ahead.
that?
You're the one that knows.
Yeah.
I don't know much about that.
Well, I shared the link. Dallas, I saw it because Dallas Goldtooth posted it this morning. The Supreme Court, so right now North Dakota is not allowing out-of-state judges to come in and represent people here. The Supreme Court has just opened it up for comments, which means you guys at home, the public, you can email the clerk of courts for the North Dakota Supreme Court and tell them you support their decision to allow out-of-state attorneys to practice law here. That's important because right now, like I said, the lawyers representing water protectors are bogged down, where some of them might be public defenders who may or may not really care, or they're overworked. You got these out-of-state attorneys who might be kick-ass. They want to come in and help, but they're limited. And so if the Supreme Court of North Dakota allows it, these out-of-state attorneys will be able to start to come in here and help water protectors. And that's really important. We need it.
Those comments are due by Friday at 4 p.m. on December 30th.
Can we give them the
You
email?
have to have written comments maybe emailed to Penny Miller, who is the clerk of the Supreme Court. Again, this is on Dallas Goldtooth's page. So you can send it to SUP Clerk of Court at northdakotacourts.gov. Or there's also an address, 600 East Boulevard Avenue, Bismarck, North Dakota, 58505. And so everyone can bring in their comments by then. And then he also reminded people that you can support the Water Protector Legal Collective for administration costs and fees. They have fundraiser.com/campaigns/11B5Z8. But check it out. We'll repost it's a crazy link. But Water Protector Legal Collective, they have a Facebook page.
Yeah. We'll put the links up after we're done. I'll go back and edit the description to have the email address for the clerk of courts and
Address.
link. Yeah. All the stuffs.
You know, trying to be good reporters.
Oh, what else? Another thing that's important is they're having a hard time finding unbiased jurors here, because like we said, the oil companies that own the local print media, that own the media, are friendly to the oil. I'm getting confused, but you get what I'm saying. The media has been manipulating and propagandizing the local population, so it's hard to find a jury that isn't already slanted against the water protectors. So I don't know how that's going to play out, but I think that's why it's important for us not to just be like, F you guys, and be mad at the community. That's not going to help us, and nor is it a good thing to do. We have to understand and like build bridges with the community and understand, hey, the news has been manipulating us. Let's sit down and talk about this. You know?
Yes, it's so important because like we're gonna be here, North Dakotans are gonna be here, and Standing Rock's gonna be here, and it can't be 5 years down the road people are hating on Standing Rock still, and people don't feel comfortable coming to Bismarck because of the lies that were told to both of us. It's a divide and conquer mentality that we have to break through, and that just comes with communication and understanding on a human-to-human level. And so we ask for that, and we ask for people to just really understand that concept. And on a really weird tidbit that has nothing to do with anything, this is a bit of fact for you. Tonight at 2:41 a.m. Eastern Time will be the darkest night of the past 500 years.
Oh, 500 years?
The darkest night.
It's dark as Tina back there.
So get your flashlights. Well, actually, you should be sleeping at that time.
We should be
What is it? What time?
You should be editing.
We got some editing to
4
do.
a.m.?
2:41 a.m. until 4 a.m. Eastern Standard Time
Can't wait.
will be the darkest of the past 500 years. How do they come up with this? I have no idea.
It's science.
Science. Sounds like a all-night party at camp.
Oh, crap.
Oh, man.
It won't be dark for us because they have their Nodapl lights on us all the time, wasting energy.
Yep.
Are we waiting still for these girls? Are they?
I don't know, but it's really fogging up.
Should we
We
probably
got
just
a lot
go?
of hot air
Do you want
going
to
on in here.
tell them what we were waiting for?
We were waiting for our friends to come back. Taisha and her friend, their vehicle had slid off the road and was in the ditch in the snow. And they came back to their vehicle to get it out, and the window was busted out. I think she said the driver's side window.
The driver's side window was busted out.
And there was a green paper, a notice on it, saying that the police were checking for inhabitants, or what is
If
it?
anybody was in the car, like they couldn't just look through the window and see if somebody was in it. So yeah, they busted out the driver's side window and left a note.
So we were waiting for them to get back with the note to show you guys. They just had to pay to get their window fixed. And I don't know if that's standard procedure for police, like for your safety, to make sure you're
For
not
your
in the back
safety,
frozen.
busted out your window.
Busted out your
In the
window to
winter.
make sure you're not freezing in the back in the ditch. I don't know what that's about.
It's so weird.
It is. But again, don't hate all the cops, because a lot of them, some of them I have encountered are really nice, you know. And another guy got pulled over, and he doesn't want me to tell his name. I was like, man, you got to go live with your story. But he said no. But he got pulled over, and the cop was really nice to him until Dapl security pulled up and started talking to him. And after that, Dapl security left, and they said the whole energy shifted and the police interaction shifted. And at that point, they arrested him. So anyways, there's kind of some fishy things, but there's also good cops and whatever stuff. I don't know what else to say.
We ourselves like to play good cop, bad cop.
Yeah.
We're just getting off topic now and fogging up. But everybody, thank you for watching and tuning in. And it's just really important that everybody continues to pray. And I just want to say thank you so much to Prolific here, Sean, because like coming here and doing this is something that's really for me really personal. And you know, it's really, you know, he's freaking facing felony charges for protecting the water, and I really appreciate it. It's pretty, that sacrifice, that struggle is real, and you know, it's scary. I was devastated myself sitting in court when I heard him say they're going to go to trial. It's messed up. So continue to pray for the water protectors, and especially on, you know, March 31st we'll be back.
Yep. And everyone keep paying attention, because whatever legal precedents are set now, keep in mind we're going into the Trump era now, and he wants to open everything up. And again, we're not against jobs. Why can't we just, hey Trump, let's build a whole bunch of wind farms and solar arrays, and let's start making electric cars instead of dirty stuff that's going to give everyone cancer and ruin the water. How about that? You know, let's do that. But whatever, we need to pay attention, because whatever legal precedents they set here with the water protectors cases, I guarantee you they're going to be doing it to other movements. And if the people who are really greedy had their way, they would just convince the world that we're terrorists instead of good people, so they could just kind of sweep us off the playing field. But we're not terrorists. We're people of love, people of the earth. We're people who love you guys at home, and we want to make the world a better place. Anything else?
That was great.
I appreciate Candy, and I appreciate Tina.
Turn the light on.
Turn your light on.
You don't have to say now. Hi.
We appreciate you, Prolific, man. You're such a good
Trying
soul.
to get all mushy.
He's such a good soul.
Sushi.
Sushi.
Still hungry?
Okay, you guys.
Smushy.
Have a good day. We love you guys, and talk to you later.
Peace.
Important things for you guys to know. But I guess I'll be quiet until I speak to my lawyer and know for sure. But what I can tell you guys is that the case didn't go my way. Today in court didn't go my way. The judge didn't dismiss any of my charges. And kind of my whole case is hinging on this officer's testimony. And I guess that was enough for them to move forward with my case. And one of the details of my case is they said I demonstrated an extreme indifference to the value of human life with my action with the drone. And that's not true at all. You know, anybody that knows me, I'm not here to endanger anybody. I'm here because I love people, right? Water protectors, the prosecutor would object and say it's outside of the scope of this case. So I don't really know what to say about the judicial system. It seems like it's lost its focus on justice, and it's become more about setting up boundaries and parameters with words and having a word game, and whoever has the money to pay for the best attorney usually wins. I will say, though, that not all police officers are bad, and we all need to understand that. It doesn't do us any good when we just start hating police. It's just like people in Bismarck hating water protectors. It doesn't make sense. You know, we need to separate the good ones from the bad ones. And don't post any hatred towards officers on my page, please. Also, I think, you know, not because I want to hurt people. I'm here because I want to protect the water. I'm here because I'm a father and I have children, and I want to make sure that they have a good world to grow up in. And that's why I'm here, not to hurt people, not to harm people, not any of that stuff that they're accusing me of. But one of the things that I noticed is in the courtroom, right? That's supposed to be the place where justice comes out and where truth comes out. But instead, I feel like it was so limited, the scope, like they have very narrow boundaries of what you can and can't talk about. And because of that, it becomes kind of like a battle of words, more so than about obtaining the truth. So anytime my lawyer would ask certain questions that are really important to the overall theme of justice with water. So you need light.
Wait, I told
You can be in it too. Hey, what's up, everybody? So this is an after court update. So what my hearing today was arraignment, I think. Yeah, I think that's what it's called, where you enter a plea of guilty or not guilty, and where the presiding judge determines whether or not there's enough evidence to continue further with the case. And so the officer who wrote the report on me, he was there. He testified. He had some interesting things to say. Man, I wish I could tell you guys all the details. I really wish I could, because there's some really important. It's important to note that not all the judges are bad. Some of them are. Some of them aren't, you know. But anyways, so I'm facing a total of 7 years still. I'm going to be going back into trial in March, at the end of March. And, you know, it didn't go my way today, but hopefully, you know, I still keep relying on prayer. So hopefully in the future it does go my way. Other than that, man, I hope you guys are all doing good. We got Candy Mossett and Tina in the building.
Hi. Hey, everybody. Send the prayers. We appreciate it.
Yeah. We were having some interesting conversations. I wish I could do that, but then it's just going to go sideways.
It's going to mess up.
Yeah.
Well, here, let me read my fortune.
Okay, what was your fortune say?